The meeting comes as Ford pitches an ambitious plan to supply the United States with energy. The Premier saying an expanded power grid here in Ontario would bring Canada and the state's economies closer as he hopes to stave off the president-elect's threat of tariffs. Emily Taylor joining us live in studio with the latest on this. Emily.
Matt, the Premier offered little detail on what the so-called AmCan energy deal could look like between Canada and the States. And also, it's not clear if Trump would agree, given the recent threats he's made about merging our two countries or not importing any more Canadian goods. An ambitious pitch from the Ontario Premier today.
Working together, we can usher in a new American and Canadian century.
Speaking at the Darlington nuclear plant, Doug Ford says he wants to see Ontario's energy grid expand and supply the states with more power. He calls on the federal government, American lawmakers, and industry experts to create a new working group and for the feds to approve the building of more small modular and large nuclear reactors.
Many of these initiatives will require the federal government to step up to ensure that energy, trade, and security policies serve the best interests of Canadians and Americans alike.
When asked if any deal is in the works with the states, Ford had this to say.
I've talked to many elected officials down there about our plan. I've talked to many CEOs.
CHCH News has asked for more details on those talks, but haven't heard back. It's also not clear if Trump would accept a deal. Just yesterday, the president-elect said the states could stop importing from Canada entirely.
We don't need the cars. We don't need the lumber. We don't need the dairy products. So why are we losing $200 billion a year and more to protect Canada?
Or force Canada to merge with the United States through economic force, which Ford dismissed today.
Because Canada and the United States, that would really be something.
Today's announcement is Ford's latest attempt to stave off Trump's threat of imposing a 25% tariff on all Canadian imports, and a 180 from his initial pitch to cut off energy from the states in retaliation. Ford was asked today why he seems to be taking the lead on dealing with the incoming U.S. government.
There's a lack of leadership right now at the federal government, and someone has to stand up for Ontario, someone has to stand up for Canada.
Ontario's opposition parties joined Ford's call for the feds to step up, but also want the Premier to promise that he won't call a snap election, a promise he hasn't made so far.
A provincial election isn't what Ontario families need right now. They need stability.
Ontario's NDP echoed that call, writing in a statement, "We don't need the instability of an election right now, but if Ford wants to go, we're ready." Now, just to underscore the importance of this, the premiers are set to meet with the Prime Minister next week in person, and they are planning a trip to Washington, D.C. in February after Trump's inauguration.